Here we go. For those of you that have been to Lafayette, Louisiana, then you already know it's a pretty special and pretty unique place. For the rest of us, myself included, well, we had to learn. So I spent 4 days here, and the residents are some of the nicest people I've ever met. Obviously, I was suspicious of this unbridled generosity of good cheer. But after a few hours, it just felt as natural as the sweet tea and the humidity. This was my first visit here, and man, I was surprised at what an authentic, sophisticated country Cajun experience I've had the pleasure of capturing on film. Boudin, friendly alligators, even friendlier locals, cafe au lait, Louisiana history, and good old-fashioned toe tapping. If this isn't Louisiana authenticity, frankly, I don't know what is. We're digging into Lafayette, Louisiana in a matter of seconds on Beyond Your Backyard.
Beyond Your Backyard is being brought to you in part by the following.
Sky Vacations. Bespoke journeys across Europe, Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Sky Vacations, your gateway to global destinations. Let us get you there.
My name is Erik Hastings. Yeah, that's me. And for as long as I can remember, I've always loved to travel, and I still do today. But you know what I've learned? There's so much more that brings us together than divides us. Which is why I've made it my mission to do the very same things you can do, but to take you beyond the experiences, to uncover the soul of every place we visit. Let me introduce you to the people, the places, and the secrets that remind us how exciting it is to share with one another, to understand one another, and to realize just how connected we really are. I am Erik the Travel Guy, and this is Beyond Your Backyard. Thank you for watching, and welcome back. Here on Beyond Your Backyard, we aren't limited by geography, which means we can basically go anywhere we want. Now, for those of you that have been where I am today, well, you already know what a magical place this is. But for those of you that haven't, you may be wondering, why are you in Lafayette, Louisiana? Well, the answer is very simple. Because this place has a story to tell. As a matter of fact, if you spend the next 30 minutes with me, you'll discover how many stories Lafayette has to tell, and that's why I want you here. Because at the end of the day, you'll then learn why this place is worthy of your vacation dollar. Let's get started. This is Louisiana. New Orleans is over here, the state capital, Baton Rouge, that's right here, and Lafayette is situated right here. But Lafayette wasn't always what this area was called, which is why we dropped by Vermilionville Living History Museum and Folklife Park. How do you describe what people are going to experience when they come here for the first time?
So as you step through the doors, you're taken back to Vermilionville, the original name of Lafayette, Louisiana. And so as you enter, you meet these beautiful historic homes that were actually brought here from various places in the countryside, as well as our costume interpreters like myself, who are dressed like how people would have between 1760 and 1890, the era that we represent here at the museum.
Got it.
So we're also representing traditional craftsmanship, doing things like spinning cotton or hand sewing or doing cooking demonstrations, things like that. And so we basically just wanted to highlight the uniqueness of this region, both culturally, but also actually even linguistically.
Where did people come from?
The first house you walk into whenever you visit Vermilionville is actually our House of Cultures, where you talk about the main cultural groups that have come together to create our Cajun and Creole cultures as we know them today, as well as, of course, our ongoing Native American cultures. So whenever you enter that house, we have a room entirely dedicated to Native American culture, as well as the various European groups and the African groups that have shaped, this cultural landscape.
Yeah, even down to, I believe, the word gumbo comes from an African word, correct?
Yes, it is an African word for okra.
Okra, right.
Also, gumbo as we know it today is a dish that is thickened using either a Native American, a European, or an African method. Whether you're making an okra gumbo, African, making a roux, European, or you're using filet, Native American.
Which is Native American.
Right.
I don't think I ever knew that. That's really cool. I'm glad we have this because it shows very simply that we're starting here, basically, right?
Yes.
Everybody enters through the front, but it's very easy and very walkable and pretty flat, it looks like, as well.
Pretty accessible, I do have to say.
Yeah.
Also, it's Louisiana, so, flat is kind of a given.
That's very true. And what is this building here?
That right there is our performance center. Is used for a number of events, but our two regular ones that we have every weekend are your Saturday Cajun Jam with the CFMA, Cajun French Music Association. And then on Sunday, we have the Bal du Dimanche, the Sunday dance, which is actually going on right now.
One of my favorites is the schoolhouse, right? Is this one or this one?
That right there is our schoolhouse.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Religion is sort of an ongoing theme here in the region, so you can't have this experience without a church.
Right.
Can you go into it as well? Can you take a tour of it?
So it is open to the public.
How long does it take to really take the full museum in?
I would say that the visit can be completed in about 1 to 2 hours, depending on also just how much you want to take your time.
And there's plenty of things for kids to do.
Oh, yes.
That's why it's living history.
Right, exactly. Kids love seeing history alive. It makes it tangible for them, and honestly, even for adults as well.
The costume interpreters and the entire staff at Vermilionville Living History Museum and Folklife Park deserve high praise because the entire experience was immersive and wildly fascinating. And remember to pick up a memento from the gift shop, of course. This brings me to another aspect of Lafayette life. The residents here pride themselves on, having a good time. For instance, this is Rock and Bowl. It's a unique bowling/live concert venue, and it is a sight to behold. The rhythm here in Lafayette includes the blues, country, bluegrass, R&B, and my favorite, Zydeco. Pausing for transitional effect. Now, when I hear that familiar style of music, I think of this. That's right. My trip to Lafayette included an afternoon with Captain Tucker, and all of us had the time of our lives. This airboat tour is a must for anyone seeking a little education, a little nature, and a whole lot of fun. Aside from what seemed to be friendly alligators, I couldn't help but wonder one thing. Are we in a swamp? Are we in a bayou? Help me out with the...
Well, the difference between a swamp and a bayou is typically a running stream of water, like a small river, which we have lots of them that run through here. But the swamp is the overflow of the bayou and the river. So it's the stagnant water outside of the moving water.
So where did we go?
We stayed mostly inside the swamp areas. Everywhere there was vegetation and trees, that's considered swamp. We did travel through a few bayous to go from one swamp to another.
Got it.
But this whole area is considered Henderson Swamp, which is part of the Atchafalaya Basin.
Which is right outside Lafayette, Louisiana, right?
Yeah, between Lafayette and Baton Rouge.
Got it. And wouldn't you say that someone who is coming here for the first time, maybe they've been to New Orleans, maybe they haven't, this is really the scene setter. This is the way to truly understand why this place is the way it is. They should take an airboat tour, right?
Correct. The airboat gives them access to areas that a conventional boat can't go to.
Right.
So it gets them back in places where we grew up, where And the water in here fluctuates drastically from spring to fall.
Really?
Yeah, in the springtime, the water is actually about 10, 12 feet higher than what it is right now. It's actually underneath this building in the springtime.
No kidding.
Yeah, the peninsula out there will be actually underwater about 3 feet.
Your tour, 2 hours, 90 minutes?
Hour and a half.
Got it.
Yeah.
How fast were we going out there?
We try not to go real fast. I mean, our average speed is about 30 to 40 miles an hour, yeah.
Because sometimes somebody who hasn't been on an airboat tour, me being one of those people as of today, I've only seen images of airboats just flying through the water, which they can do that, right?
They're capable, yeah. We designed these boats and built them to where we can carry a larger group of people. And to be able to do that, we have to gear the drive system down.
Right.
And it's just like running in a grandma gear on a four-wheel drive truck to carry a lot of weight.
And I do appreciate the fact that you let us come out, just us, but even if we were with other guests, I mean, it was really comfortable. The seats are comfortable. You're not uncomfortable, which I think is a really important thing to note, because what we're really here to do is take a look at what's around us.
Right. And the canopy on the boats really help us a lot, especially this time of year. Mm-hmm. And then it's unusual, we're going through a drought right now, but it's typical in the summertime to have showers every afternoon.
Right.
So the canopy helps with that too.
Well, you know, Captain, I'm having a shower right now. As a matter of fact, standing still, which is why we're going to keep this short. But it really is very refreshing, and you do see wildlife out there.
Yeah.
What did we see while we were out there?
Well, there's a lot of variety of birds. A lot of them are migratory birds. We have a winter migration and a summer migration. We have a winter migration starting. We're starting to see some ducks and stuff coming down from up north. But a lot of the summer migration are leaving. They're getting ready to leave. So the ibis and spoonbill, rosette spoonbills, and a lot of the herons, they'll leave and go back to Central and South America.
Got it.
But if we have a mild winter, a lot of them do stay. You know.
And are people really coming to see one thing besides you?
Yeah, they come mostly for the alligators.
They do.
And we've made friends with so many alligators over the years, and it's not a guaranteed thing because weather has a lot to do with it. When it's real hot like it is right now, they're there, but they're sitting on the bottom staying cool where the water's cool, and they'll pop up. You know, you saw that when one of them just popped up in front of the boat while we were stopped.
I mean, they're not necessarily aggressive, but they're certainly friendly to you.
Yeah, they get a bad rap. The alligators are associated with crocodiles, which are two different animals.
Right.
Crocodiles actually see humans as food, where alligators don't. Now, you can get yourself hurt by alligator, especially in the mating season, in the nesting season, which is now. If you get too close to a female's nest, she can be very aggressive, but they normally warn you that you're too close, and they'll hiss at you and growl at you and
let you know to move along. These tours, are they year-round, or do you take a little break?
No, we run year-round. We close for 1 week after the first of the year.
I could do this all afternoon, but if I did, I would melt. So we're out of here. Captain, thanks for this.
It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, by the way, did I mention we shot this entire episode in the summer? I mention this because the best time of year to visit is, well, anytime you can get away for a long weekend. But the summers are hot. But don't worry, they just built a gorgeous park to hang out in, even during a passing sprinkle or two. Now, when I think Cajun, Creole, and hot, I think hot sauce, which is why we headed to Avery Island, because Avery Island is home to Tabasco hot sauce. That's right, my friends. Every single bottle of Tabasco is crafted, poured, and labeled right here. The McElhenney family has made Tabasco sauce on Avery Island, Louisiana for more than 5 generations. Built on a salt dome, it's a mysteriously beautiful place where the red peppers grow, the factory hums, and the abundant wildlife can be seen in jungle gardens. It's everything Louisiana is about, and the tip of the iceberg when it comes to local cuisine. But what I love most about this stop on our itinerary was the factory tour. And yes, you can get in on this. This is the building and this is the equipment that helped change the way the world eats. I don't know about anyone else, but I find this kind of stuff to be endlessly fascinating. Your taste buds owe you so much to this place, and you may not even know it. And this stop on my Lafayette tour got me thinking about the difference between Cajun food and Creole food. And yes, we have an expert for that.
Yeah. What is
Cajun food?
So what is Cajun food? It is the cuisine of the rural parts of Southwest Louisiana.
Okay.
That's my best way
the
I
best
can describe
generalization we can do.
To go in a little bit deeper, it is the product of the influence of many, many different cultures. But despite the name, it has very little to do with Acadian cuisine. So the Acadian people were just one of many different groups that were settled here in the 18th century during the Spanish period of Louisiana's history. Their cuisine didn't travel too well to Southwest Louisiana.
Really? Why?
Have you ever been to Nova Scotia or New Brunswick? Yeah. Does it feel 90 degrees Fahrenheit like it does today? And this is a cool day for us.
This is a cool day.
Yeah, it was hotter last week.
Yes.
So, again, food, and just like any part of culture, is who you are, but it's also where you are. And food, especially if we're talking about before the 1950s, is very tied to where you are. The land in which you live, what you can grow, when you can grow it. This is
1950s having everything to do with
refrigeration, food
canning,
culture, interstate highways, shipping, a lot of things changed in that period of time. But the food that grew up here was both influenced by cultures who were already here in terms of indigenous cultures, but also West African cultures. But one must remember that most of the year, the climate here very much resembles West Africa and the Caribbean. So our food here becomes more a mix of Native American and West African and Caribbean influences than it would be classic French or Eastern Canadian or New England style cuisine here.
All right, we have to talk about this food because this looks amazing.
So this is a good little slice of South Louisiana cuisine, Cajun Creole cuisine down here.
Okay.
We have some corn mac choux right here, a dish that actually has its origins in a dish similar to sagamite. Mm-hmm. The name comes from mac tieu, a Native American word, but it would be a dish of essentially stewed corn.
Okay.
Over time, though, of course, you have tomatoes in it, peppers in it, both of those native to the Americas, along with corn. But you're going to have other spices, garlic, onions that cooked in it as well. Okay. Oftentimes served as a side dish. But you can do mac choux as a main dish. Okay. We've got some sausage Creole here. This is a dish that's, of course, served on top of rice, always that ever-present rice in South Louisiana. That's that kind of difference between this part of South Louisiana and the rest of Louisiana and the rest of the South.
Which would have been served. How would this have been served if not on rice?
So if before we were cultivating rice down here, you could also do this on basically corn porridge, or as we would normally call it, grits.
Grits.
Got it. You'll often still hear a dish called grits and grillades. And grillades were basically the leavings of, butchering up a cow or a hog, and you would make a stew with that. Liver, kidneys, different things like that. Sometimes it was called débris. If it was from a cow's and had a lot of blood in it, it was called bouillie. Right. And a lot of times that was served with grits, basically, as we would call them today. But this sausage Creole, this is made with smoked pork sausage. Okay. Of course, blending a different, variety of traditions here. The sausage here in South Louisiana has a lot of influence from really two areas. Iberian chorizos, so Spanish and Portuguese style chorizos, as well as German style sausages. So,
because, nobody makes sausage better than the Germans.
Well, there you go. You're talking to a guy named Steiner right here, so here we go.
There is that to be whatever.
But then, of course, we're serving it with a tomato and pepper sauce. Usually you call this sausage Creole, but if we made this with something else, it would be similar to what we call a sauce piquant, a spicy sauce. Yeah. So you do see tomatoes in here, despite what people think. We use tomatoes here in Southwest Louisiana, but just use them a little differently. And we're going to use them in ways that would have been used in indigenous cuisine and West African cuisine. So tomatoes are native to the Americas, but people in West Africa were eating tomatoes about 100 years or so before anyone in Italy was eating tomatoes.
Got it.
So we think of so much of that. The same with chili peppers. Remember, the Spanish were going back and forth from the Americas to Spain. The Portuguese, they were going everywhere else. This is how you end up with chili peppers everywhere.
This is how you end up with a 3-hour mini special.
Exactly.
Because I could talk about this all day and listen to you talk about it all day. I really could. It's absolutely fascinating.
And then go for it. Then we've got a little buttermilk biscuit there. We still are, even though I say South Louisiana isn't the South, we still have that Southern heritage here. Yeah. And of course, biscuits, coming from, actually the word biscuit comes from coming from a French word which means to cook twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
so
that.
biscotti in Italian comes from the same
Look at
thing.
this. Look at that. Look at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's a dense.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you get that smoke flavor, you get the saltiness, you get the spiciness, and the acidity from the tomatoes there. But as I mentioned, you mentioned the dense.
Yeah, the density.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we would call smoked sausage, a finer ground. Andouille, modern andouille sausage, is going to be a coarser ground. And that's because andouille originally was not really a pork meat sausage. It was basically taking the on-ramp and stuffing it in the off-ramp. So it was taking the chitlins, the small intestines, chopping them up, salting them, spicing them heavily, stuffing them in the large intestine, and smoking it.
I can't believe I'm not losing my appetite with that description. I'm so that's how good it is. But you know the spice
Under a
here.
little quality control.
Yeah, well, just to make sure.
Yeah.
You got to do it for the, for your health. It's really. I know I've said this before, but even now, this is probably pretty close to room temperature.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it on television.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Yeah.
Almost room temperature.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even served at the temperature it's supposed to be. It's still delicious.
That's a good thing about acidic foods. This is why cold pizza is awesome. So that acidity stays in there, whereas if you're dealing with foods that are a lot sweeter, it'll have a different taste. But acidity kind of hangs around. It doesn't dissipate.
This was supposed to be like 6 minutes long. You have turned this into something.
There we go.
Clearly, I'm going to have to move in and have this. We're going to talk about this all day long.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this, Jake.
Hey,
Thanks
no
for
problem.
doing this, bro.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my gosh. We'll just be here. We didn't even talk about this yet, but, I'm going to finish that.
Suffice it to say, we ate and drank well here. We had breakfast at Dwyer's. We got our boudin on at Billy Boudin in Cracklin. We also visited Adopted Dog Brewery. And believe me when I tell you, the beer is just as good as the food. And if you're a coffee craver like me, then make a stop at Reveille Coffee Roasters, where it's coffee and tea done the right way. These folks aren't just coffee baristas, they're coffee wizards. And as far as I'm concerned, every day should conclude with delicious homemade ice cream.
Lainey, I understand you have a line to share?
Yeah.
What is it?
Today we're trying ice cream from the last remaining board shop in the whole entire world.
Nice. Cheers. Good line.
That is so good.
Sometimes smaller towns and cities think it's in their best interest to only advertise the new, as opposed to leaning into what it is that makes them stand out. Well, here's the thing about Lafayette. It's all legit, and it's all true. The new they peddle here is just as wonderful as the classic they celebrate, and the unique factor is through the roof.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to remember the name. This is Lafayette, Louisiana. I want you to step out of your Creole comfort zone and just get here. You'll be glad you did. I'm Erik the Travel Guy. Thank you for watching Beyond Your Backyard.
And then on Sunday, we have the Bal du Dimanche, the Sunday dance.
Really?
Which is actually going on right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I think they're playing my favorite song. Oh my God. This would have to be much larger in real life.
I mean, we do have quite a large campus.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
For more information on this episode, visit erikthetravelguy.com. And while you're there, you'll discover other fascinating destinations just beyond your backyard and links to follow me on social media. That's erikthetravelguy.com.
Sky Vacations. Bespoke journeys across Europe, Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Sky Vacations, your gateway to global destinations. Let us get you there.
the Travel Guy. You know, I've been exploring the world professionally for more than a decade, and you know what I've learned? Is that fantastic experiences await you in every corner of the globe, but you don't always have to travel that far to uncover them. So join me each week as we go on and off the beaten path, learn something new, and sample delicious culinary. We're exploring beyond your backyard.